Guest's argument to hit China even harder. O'Leary Ventures chairman and Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, a familiar face here with me now. Sir, thanks for giving us a little bit of your pretty tough with China right now. Your thoughts?
China's cheating.
Because China is not in the same group as the others. I mean, you can think about a circle of friendship with the EU, England, which is not part of the EU, Switzerland, and all the other countries mentioned, and of course Canada, Mexico. You can see that coming together with some kind of a reciprocal tariff, and I think we're well on the way there. But China's a completely different story. The problem with China is we have some real issues with them since 2000 when they came into the World Trade Organization. They've never complied by any of the rules. There are thousands of complaints registered at the WTO, and they've never been adjudicated, never been resolved. Now, when I do business in China, I can't use their court system, and yet they can use ours. They can actually sue me here with knockoff products that they stole the IP from. And so we've got a really imbalanced playing field. It's not a level playing field at all. Even worse than that, I'm just giving you a list of litany that has to be resolved in addition to trade tariffs. Trade tariffs are a sideshow in China. They get to use our capital markets, the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ.
That's messed up.
They list companies that are not compliant with general accounting principles. You don't even get a real share. You get a shadow share, and they don't provide the right financial statements, and they're not compliant. And they're, by the law, they should be getting delisted. And I believe they will be soon because there's a new sheriff in town. Paul Atkins just got approval to run the SEC, and he's going to be a China hawk, I believe. So all of this stuff has to get resolved, and that's why my view is, why don't we just ratchet it up? Why mess around with these 25% a week increases? Just go to 400%. Shut down a complete trade with China and start squeezing them until they come to the table.
Some people do sometimes,
we
but
know that China's a big rule breaker, absolutely, on the global stage, particularly on finances. But at the same time, they also make a lot of things. We're buying a lot of things. A lot of those Chinese goods coming into America. There are businesses that are dependent on that trade to a certain extent. And consumers buy a lot of those goods. So what does that all mean as this continues to play out?
Stitching falls out.
You're 100% right. The largest consumer market on earth, almost 40% of the United States of America. The U.S., 26.1% of world GDP. My point is, they can't do without us. If they don't have the ability to sell this stuff you're talking about and make it in the factories and employ millions of people, those people become unemployed. And when you're not a, let's call the Supreme Leader what he is, he can't keep his job. He doesn't have to face any votes. But if people can't eat and they're in the streets rioting, his job's over. She knows this. And so it's mutual destruction if it's a long-term situation, but it won't be long-term. You might as well come to the table, I say to Chi, but it's not just going to be on tariffs. You got to clean up your act with the WTO and access to your courts and access to your markets. If you want to play with the big boys in the G7, it's got to be reciprocal. And that's what's on the table. That's what I'm advocating for. You know, I want to point out for American entrepreneurship, thousands, millions of businesses over the last 20 years. When you innovate in America and you get an investor and you create something unique and it's a hit product and it hits 5 million in sales, that's the moment it gets knocked off in China, because the Chinese never paid for any of the R&D. They don't have to recoup it. They flood the U.S. market with the knockoff and sometimes wipe out the original American company with the American jobs. There's nothing okay about that.